Hello everyone! This video is a short continuation of the London art haul video where I unpacked all my new art supplies and books. If you watched that video, you would have seen that I had bought a few Caran Luminance colored pencils. I've only recently started using color pencils, and if even 6 months ago someone told me that I would be excited about trying and buying them, I wouldn't believe it. I've never been interested in this technique, especially in hyper-realistic style of drawing with colored pencils, but I guess I just wanted to try something new and different from watercolor, something a bit more chill. If you are using watercolor, then you know that it is a very difficult medium, requiring a lot of forward thinking and pre-planning, so I just wanted to do some doodles in front of the TV without the necessity of doing any of those things. I found my old Moleskine sketchbook that I started 3 years ago, and I thought that it would be nice to use some color in it. I remember that I have quite a few colored pencils in my collection. I found them and I started experimenting a little bit. Even after a day or two, I realized that I like working with them. It's fun and simple, and it doesn't require a lot of brain work, and you can do it anywhere you want, even in your bed. I wasn't going to expand my collection because what I have is enough for the purpose of sketching for fun, and I don't want to spend any extra money on art supplies at the moment. But the only thing is, I really wanted to try these Caran Luminance pencils. I've heard so many good things about them, and they have an interesting color selection. I decided to buy a couple to add to my collection. I didn't put a lot of thought into choosing the colors. I just picked the ones that I generally enjoy using and that I thought looked nice in the color chart. In this video, I would like to swatch them with you and maybe do a quick drawing at the end. As I just mentioned, I didn't want to put too much thought into choosing the colors. So basically, this was my collection that I started using during the summer. I already knew what kind of colors I liked, and I knew what kind of colors I would like to add to my collection. I think I will start with the lighter ones and then finish with these dark blues and greens. So the first one, burnt ochre 10%. If you know Caran Luminance pencils at all, they sometimes divide one color into 3 subcolors, if you can call that. They do different gradations of the same color, which I think is really useful if you would like to have some sophisticated colors in your collection. Burnt ochre 10%. This is a very peachy color. It's interesting because when I hear something like burnt ochre or burnt sienna, I immediately imagine some dark brown colors or some earthy colors. This is more like pink or skin color, which I guess makes sense because this is only 10% burnt ochre. The next one is this violet gray. Oh, I really like this color because it looks like it consists of 2 different colors. It's violet, but it looks like it's glowing from the inside with some pink. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a very pretty color. I will do like a close-up at the end to show you the colors. The next one I think will be this one, genuine cobalt blue. Cobalt blue in watercolor, it's one of my most favorite colors. I would say it looks more like verditer blue or royal blue that has some white in it. It doesn't look exactly like cobalt blue in watercolor, it's more like pastel blue, but still very nice. The next one, chrysocolla blue, I think. It's a very complicated name. I'm a huge fan of turquoise. This was one of the colors that I picked just because I like this kind of color. I already have quite a few turquoise colors in my color pencil collection. I still wanted to have turquoise from Caran too. These pencils are very pleasant to work with. The next one is slate gray. So we are going to the darker ones now. They are so easy to use. If you buy some cheap pencils, kids' pencils, you would find that they are scratching the paper and it's really difficult to get some color out of them. And these are just very soft and very pleasant to work with. So I guess that's the reason you are paying so much for these pencils. And of course their life fastness. It's a very standard gray color, but it's also a very pleasant one. It looks like graphite. I don't own this color yet in my collection, so it will be a very nice addition. The next one is dark sub green. The colors that I own in my current collection are mostly pastel colors, muted colors, and super dark colors. I am a fan of pastel and muted colors, but if you want to have some nice illustrations, some nice artworks, have some depth to them, you should always have some really dark tones in your collection as well, because without them you will not be able to reach the necessary depth in your drawing in order to make it look interesting. If you don't have any dark colors, your drawing would look flat. That's why it's always important to pick some darker colors with your favorite ones. It's a very violet blue, even I would say it's like purple, it's not blue. And the last one, Indian Throne Blue. It's a classic watercolor paint that everyone loves. I love it too. So when I saw that they have Indian Throne Blue in colored pencils, I decided to make sure to pick it up. Yeah, it definitely does look like an Indian Throne Blue. Okay, so these are the colors that I bought. I definitely don't regret buying any of those colors. Even these 8 pencils, they look great together without any other additional colors. All of them are quite vibrant and dark, and this one is a good light and bright addition to this collection. And now I'm going to do a quick demo sketch, so there is something for you to watch while I will be sharing my experience of using these pencils. I am recording the second part of the video a month after I recorded the swatching, so I've been consistently using these pencils for a whole month, which allows me to draw certain conclusions. As you see, I'm not only using the Luminance pencils, but I am combining them with other pencils from my collection, as I think the review will be more interesting and exhaustive if I see how these pencils compare with other brands. The pencils I currently own are Moleskine pencils, Tombow pencils from the Color Encyclopedia set, Derwent Drawing, and a couple of Derwent Light Fast. These are in no way professional pencils, maybe apart from the Derwent ones, but they constitute a smaller proportion of my collection. I'd like to mention that I don't have an extensive experience of using colored pencils. I've been only using them for a couple of months maybe, so my opinion will be quite subjective. As you will see, I will be drawing an architectural illustration in a very loose and sketchy style, and my requirements for a colored pencil are very simple. They should feel nice to work with, and they should have interesting colors suitable for my subject matters. And we can move on straight to that point. Luminance pencils are very nice to work with. Maybe they are even too nice to work with, because after you put them down and pick up another pencil, the difference is striking, especially with the cheaper and simpler pencils like Moleskine. They don't scratch the paper, they give you very bright and vivid colors, even the ones that are supposed to be pale on their own, which means that it's very easy to achieve the necessary vividness and depth of your sketches or illustrations. I think the reason for that is that they have a very high concentration of pigments in them. and that would also be a reason why they are light fast. For me personally, it's not a decisive factor if a pencil is light fast or not, because I only use them in a sketchbook and I don't sell my artworks made with color pencils. But for those artists who care about such things, Caran Luminance are one of the few pencils on the market that will not fade with time if you hang your drawing on the wall, which means that you can safely sell your artworks made with them. If I compare them to other brands that I have, they are much softer and pleasant to use than the Tombow and Moleskine ones, most likely because they are based on different materials. I will talk about the advantages of that later, but they are priced accordingly, so I think it's fair that these pencils are a bit less creamy than Luminance. But if we compare them to the Derwent pencils that I own, I would say that they are pretty similar. If you are a colored pencil enthusiast, I will not surprise you with the fact that Caran Luminance and Derwent Lightfast are direct competitors on the market. They feel pretty much the same, have similar pricing and made in the similar manner. And as you can guess from the name, Derwent Lightfast pencils are also lightfast. I currently own only 2 lightfast pencils, but I love them a lot. They even have a similar design, but I personally prefer the design of the Luminance pencils. They might have slight variations in their color palettes, which I think is a good thing because you can combine these two and get a wide variety of different sophisticated hues and tones. Derwent drawing feels a bit different from those. It's not as creamy as the other two, it's also very soft and vivid, but slightly less smooth. It's very difficult to explain the difference in how different pencils feel on paper, but I hope it somehow makes sense. As I promised to mention some disadvantages of these pencils, I will say that the other side of their softness is you have to sharpen them a lot. I, as probably everyone else, like to use sharp pencils, but I don't like sharpening them. And not because it takes effort, but because it wears them down. These pencils are quite expensive, and for me they are not so easy to find, and that's why I'm trying to sharpen them as rarely as possible. For some bold strokes or for backgrounds it is fine, but of course at some point you always reach this stage when you can't put this away any longer. The other 2 brands I mentioned at the beginning, Tombow and Moleskine, they don't require this much sharpening. I wonder if a pencil which is soft and doesn't require frequent sharpening actually exists. And of course it means that if you use these pencils frequently and thoroughly, you would have to restock them pretty often, and they are not the cheapest pencils out there. I currently don't have an opportunity to build my collection solely out of these pencils, even though I'd love to do so, and that's why I have to mix them with cheaper and simpler brands. Luminance are currently priced at about £3 per pencil on Jackson's Art website. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the colors I picked. It's another subjective thing, but I really wanted to mention the colors that I liked, so maybe some of you can be inspired to try some new colors in your work. I don't know whether it's because I already know what colors I use and like, but I absolutely love the colors that I decided to buy. Every time I sit down to draw something in my sketchbook with colored pencils, I always tend to pick the Luminance pencils. 5 colors in particular often make an appearance in my sketchbooks, and they are burnt ochre 10%, which is great for drawing preliminary outlines, violet gray, slate gray, cobalt blue and chrysocolla blue. especially the violet gray. It's such a beautiful and complex color that it inspires me to draw with pencils on its own. Every time I do a quick study or a quick sketch in my sketchbook, I choose this color to work with. It's perfect for shading, it's perfect for architecture or for drawing sculptures. I think there is, or at least there was, a trend where people sketched different objects with a red pencil instead of a regular graphite pencil, and if I were to pick just one pencil for sketching in a sketchbook, it would be violet gray. I already start having anxiety that I will use it up soon, but whenever this happens, I'm definitely ordering a new one. I also really love cobalt blue. It's one of my favorite blue shades, this soft pastel blue color. I love using it for coloring the sky, as you will see on the sketch, even if the sky is nowhere near this color. The other three colors, two blues and a green, I haven't been using that much yet, but it just happened that I wasn't using references that would be based around these colors. So what can I say in the conclusion? I think it was quite obvious that I would like these pencils. It's not a coincidence that so many artists like to use them in their artworks. They definitely enhance your experience of using colored pencils, and every time I sit down to draw, I tend to go for these pencils. Or the Derwent Lightfast ones, because they are really similar. Because of them, I started drawing with colored pencils a lot more frequently than I was before, and the overall feel of them on paper makes you forget about all of their disadvantages. If you've never tried these pencils before, or you are not a colored pencil fan in general, I would highly recommend buying just one pencil in your favorite color for some quick studies in your sketchbook, just to feel their softness and vividness. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.